And we are back. Welcome back to Soundwaves Christmas. And I would say I'm Dennis Willis under normal circumstances. But if you listen to us on our website, the mothership we like to call it, you might have heard this.
Yeah, close your eyes for just a second here. For about 20 seconds, close your eyes and just listen.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Soundwaves 10 at 10.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm Steven Kirk, and this is Soundwaves FM.
Welcome to another It's a 90s Thing podcast.
I am DJ Bear. You're listening to PopOff, the sound of musical curiosity.
Yeah, this is the Soundwaves radio team sitting here. Give it up for these guys. These two guys revealing themselves for the first time on Soundwaves TV.
Yeah, we finally worked over the whole non-disclosure thing and all that sort of stuff so we could actually have them on camera.
Nice. So we've been producing audio programming, aside from this whole TV thing, for a few years now, actually. Yeah. It started with FM and it moved on to 10 at 10. And then we've had the good fortune to meet these guys. Intern Steve here has been a huge part. Let me tell you, on 10 at 10, I couldn't do this show at the level in which I'm doing it without your input because... No, seriously, like, this is the research king here. And he's like, by the way, I was thinking about doing my own show. Yes. How did you get inspired to bring us It's a 90s Thing?
By you, because I was roaming around and got caught in that rabbit hole on the internet and found 10 at 10. I loved 10 at 10, and it kind of got me interested, which is why I reached out. And I think you had put out a listener suggestion.
That's right.
I made a listener suggestion, but I submitted it a day late, and I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to get on. And you gave me a break. It was great. So
Nice.
I got the bug.
I get to be a hero in this story. I didn't know that, actually. Yeah. And you, sir, you have been long a member of, like, New Wave City, for example. Steve Indig's racket that he does at the Cat Club. You're, like, there all the time. But once you and I started talking about music, I'm like, holy crap, this guy knows a lot about music. So...
Yeah.
Okay, well, good night, everybody. I guess we're
He's not humble either. So how about you? When did the music bug first attack you?
Well, like everyone here, it probably started with 10 at 10, with the original host of Dave Morey.
Mr. Morey, yes.
Sort of a hero of mine.
I often call what we do the house that Dave built.
Yes, that's true, really.
Yeah.
About 6 or 7 years ago, I started doing my own little thing on the internet, just to do something different, a show that I would want to listen to. Then Steve alerted me that 10 at 10 was back. So I started listening to that. And of course I had my own ideas, so I started sending them to you and you're like, these are good, I'll use them.
That's what I do. Right. So I don't have to come up with a list by myself.
It was completely, I didn't expect them to get used, but I was completely honored. And then we started talking and you're like, well, why don't you bring this thing you're already doing over to Soundwaves, which is fantastic because the community level of the whole thing, I think, is just what we need right now.
Well, that's the one thing that I think honors and floors me, and Shasta and I and Steve, we've all talked about this with the Soundwaves TV show, and in that this incredible music community. It's not just a music community going out and seeing live bands. I think the Bay Area completely is plugged into the idea of what good is and what good music is, and that's listening to it, consuming it, going to clubs, taking part in these collections of folks just celebrating it. And I think we've kind of tapped into that. It's like we accidentally stepped into this world where we're like, oh, wow, people get it, and it's cool, and it's awesome to be here, you know?
And, it's not, when you say community, a lot of times people just think, well, it's just a group of people hanging out doing stuff. This is a genuine community. I mean, like a family. I mean, the friends that we've made, the connections we've made, everybody's all on the same plane. They got the same vibe going on and everything. And that's what makes everybody's work so successful and so popular and so well received by everybody because we're all kind of orbiting the same thing,
right?
Which really makes it special. Let's talk a little bit about the shows themselves. So if anybody hasn't heard It's a 90s Thing yet, give us the elevator pitch so everybody knows what the show is.
It is a two-part themed podcast, both parts seemingly unrelated, but there's a connection. There's always a connection. And it's pretty 10 at 10 adjacent. We do have clips from movies and TV shows, but we also do trivia questions, and we'll seed future podcasts with listener polls. It's a lot of fun. So
Yes, it is. And you, sir, you come up with like 4 hours of content a week. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, here's my show. Okay, cool. And I'm posting it. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Like, that's one show? Wow. So
Yeah.
how do you approach that volume of music? Is this just living in your head, or do you research?
Well, I do a fair amount of research depending on the theme.
Right.
The reason it went to 3 hours was I had started with 1 hour, and I quickly realized I can't cover the theme properly in an hour. Mm-hmm. And to break it up would feel odd, like to start in the middle of an idea. The 3 hours, it's just a result of I need that space to showcase what I feel best represents whatever idea I'm presenting. Also, just for the musical exposure. Because at the end of the day, my main goal is to say, check this out. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm really trying to do.
Well, I kind of think you're talking to me when I listen to his show, because he's like, hello, poppies. And I'm like, I'm a poppy. Wouldn't you like to be a poppy too?
Yes.
I like
Right?
that. That's good. That should be your
I've heard it's becoming a very large field.
And if you want to do a show, because that's the whole thing,
right.
there's 24 hours in a day. We've got all kinds of stuff that we would like to be able to share with people. If you've got a show that you'd like to share with people, give our stuff a listen. Go to soundwavestv.com. Do a sampling platter of all our different shows to kind of get an idea of what we do, and see if there's something you'd like to do. Because if there is, the door is open.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. You get to go to parties with us.
It's worth
no,
it.
now
trust
they're
me.
not.
No,
gonna
no, it's worth it.
like,
Try-
you know what?
Chasta might be there.
Does
that help?
Oh no, your Chasta will be there. Yeah.
No, that's good.
All right, enough of the talking heads. Let's get back to some music, shall
Let's
we?
do it.
Let's head back over to the main stage with Renee and Irish Greg.